The male INFJ. Yeah, that guy. The male, the man INFJ. The rarest of the MBTI types. I believe it is. It's gotta be. Okay? The INFJ is like the, if not one of the top rarest MBA types anyway. But then you got the male, and he's even rarer. I mean, rarer than that. I mean, it's typically it's 2 to 3% of INFJs are, in the world population. But it's less than 1%. It's 0.5 to zero point 0.8 in the male. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, I want to address you men out there, and some of the male struggles that we've had over our lifetime. Now, ladies, you're all invited to hear this. It's not, you're not excluded from this, but this is addressed mainly for the male INFJ and some of the struggles we guys had out there, with this. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, how you doing? Okay. Yeah. Listen. For one thing, I can tell you right now, if you're anything like me, we had a tough life. Emotionally, we've had just was socially, had a hard life with things. I mean, gosh, when we were kids, before we had it all together, we thought everybody was like us. You might have had a certain way of thinking. Maybe you were a little more sensitive. You had a group of buddies of yours, and you were trying to, do stuff, play rough things, jump, play with your bikes, whatever. And, but eventually your buddies found out. They found a chink in the armor with you. They found out you had a sensitive side, something that the other guys didn't have. It's kind of like a little bit girlish even, like for instance, hey, they see a cat over there and they start chasing the cat. And they're going after the cat. They want to hurt the cat. I mean, I'm sure that's happened before, man. At least in my circle it did. And you're the one either backing off saying, no, don't do it. Or you're trying to say, hey, like, stop it, And maybe they saw you cry. Maybe they saw you break down. Well, anyway, you were stigmatized. That group of friends saw you. Oh my gosh, what are you, a sissy? You cried. Oh yeah. What you like your sister? You like your girl? Blah blah blah. We got the whole thing. And so we were stigmatized with that sensitivity, and it was always came out as kind of like feminine a little bit. We were always called like feminine. I had been called many slurs in my life. Like just for certain things I did. Maybe I acted a certain way, and always stigmatized with that. And I think that was something that is common. The videos always say that too, that there's a certain stereotype about the male, how he's a little bit more sensitive, so that side comes out, that nurturing side comes out in the man mostly. But early on in our life, we grew up with that. We were still naive at it, so we had to adapt. But at least I did. I'm sure I can't speak for all you guys, but maybe a lot of you guys have had similar experiences growing up as an INFJ man. But yeah, we ended up having to adapt. I mean, maybe those friends that you had, you kind of drifted away from them. Maybe you found some friends that adapt to you, or maybe not. Maybe you were alone. I spent a lot of time just drifting off, doing alone things even then. So that's just the way I was. But bottom line is, yeah, we've had it rough. Even like, for instance, growing up a little bit, you always wanted that girlfriend. But, with me personally, I never lasted very long. I always wanted a long-term relationship. I was always kind of looking for the girl, the love of your life, I'm sure like anybody. They meet a girl in high school and they marry them and they stay with them for the rest of their life, But it doesn't always happen, may or may not, but anyway, so relationships never lasted long. Not with me, they didn't. It always seemed that the same energy that we lose in social interactions, we get drained of social things, because of our introvert nature and our intuitive. Those very same things are even compounded in a relationship. You think about it. You're with your girlfriend. There's a lot of emotions there. You're having to connect. You're, of course, trying to establish some kind of love affair or relationship with your girl. And but at some point, it starts to drain you 5 times faster than a regular social relationship. It takes more energy out of you to maintain that, because that's what it's all about. It's because you're throwing your heart out there. You're giving your love. You're giving your soul. You want that completion. You want that. Okay? And of course, our hearts are very giving. We want that connection. We want to feel the love from her. And maybe she senses that it's too much, and then she starts pulling back because you're giving it too much. So, I mean, then the next girlfriend, you might back off a little bit, play a little standoffish. But bottom line, either way, whether or not the giving type or the standoffish type, it always turned into being drained, like I said, 5 times faster. Like it just pulled out of you more because that love you were giving, either way, was pulling out. And it turned into me almost self-sabotaging my relationship, literally, where I would, start ghosting because I'd need alone time. And of course, they'd call up, why didn't you call? Or they'd come up, knock on the door, why didn't you come look for me? And and then it kind of broke my heart in a way because her heart was breaking because I couldn't handle it anymore. Now, and then usually my relationships never lasted very long, but only a couple months, 2-3 months, if I was lucky to get them that long. But it was always me thinking, okay, I had to get out of there. And I always wondered, why can't I hold on to a girlfriend? And, so these are some of the struggles we had. This is another struggle that we had, is that we had to fine tune and evolve our way into these things like that, to understanding that our need for love was fleeting, was always fleeting, and it always ended with broken hearts. So, and then there were far and few between. Maybe you went months and years without a relationship. At least this is my story I'm telling. But anyway, so as a man, as an INFJ man, yes, we always thought we had low self-esteem, never good enough, because we were learned early on, you can't hold a girlfriend, you can't, your friends are always calling you this and that, maybe your parents, maybe your brothers are doing the same thing. So you always thought, oh, you started believing it. You're just not good enough. You're not strong enough, and things like that. So what did you do? Well, what I did was I made sure I worked extra hard. I went to my job and worked extra hard. Started trying to just, be the guy that never left and could always get the job. Worked as many hours as that. I figured at least my job I could be that. And I start working out at the gym. I mean, at one point I worked myself out until like almost, perfection. I mean, just like, ripped abs and just like body, like it's the all or nothing with us. You know what I mean? You focus on one thing, you got one objective and you could really obtain it. And these are things I always had, was that all or nothing. So yeah, I would work out in the gym trying to be like, as like almost like perfect as I could physically, So these are some of the struggles also. But as I evolved, as we got older, we had to make sure that stigma was hidden. The sensitivity side was hidden. And with me, I developed a kind of a shield. Like I said, in another video, I talked about the INFJ stare and all that. And of course, you kind of developed that persona. You kind of knew you had that stare. You knew you could have it, and you could bring it at will. But you also knew you could take it back. So you had a way of evolving a certain gravitas about you. At least this is with me, okay? Maybe I'm sure you other guys, you got to leave me comments and let me know if you had similar experiences. But you did. You developed a certain mask, a certain shield, you were fortified inside, but you still had your sensitivity. You didn't let it go. You had it. You just really covered it up. It's kind of like the oyster. The oyster, that hard shell oyster, man, that thing is tough, right? You go to shuck that thing and it's like, you got to put it in there. And what do? You break through that oyster and that thing's just a little piece of goo almost, and you slurp it down. Hey, you might get lucky and get a pearl in there, maybe. But that's what I mean. Inside, you had that shell of an exterior, but inside you was still that little piece of goo, So, but anyway, yeah, these are some of the struggles we had growing up as and evolving into our sigma, maybe, I think eventually, maybe, I don't know, I can't speak for all of you, but when you evolve into that sigma mode of your, especially the sigma male INFJ, Now, they talk about the Sigma, and that's even more rare than the INFJ. I mean, I guess it's when they start evolving and adapting into a very autonomy. In other words, they stop giving as much. They start, their empathy is more inward. They don't reach out to the world trying to save it. They know that they have to preserve a certain autonomy, a certain self, a oneness, a wholeness with themselves, being, just as they are, with not needing anything, not needing that, craving that love, not craving any external validation from anyone, is the evolution into the Sigma male INFJ, which is probably even more rare than the actual male INFJ. Now, maybe all male INFJs turn Sigma. I don't know that. I feel like myself, as I wind on, especially in my later years, I feel the Sigma side of me starting to come out more and more. That whole loneness thing and being fine with it. That ultimate lone wolf that has no problem with that. Is just completely content with his own self. That's the Sigma male at that point. So you will evolve. But as far as like advice to the younger INFJ men out there, yeah, listen, you're going to have a tough life. Hopefully you're finding this out. Maybe, it took me 57 years to find out my INFJ. Many of you guys tell me it may have taken you many years to find it out. But the younger you are, the better. And if you've accepted that, then all you can do is just understand you. Like I've said in other videos, this is one of the best things you can do, is find out your type and accept it and be okay with it, because you can fine-tune your type. You can embrace it, okay? And just know, like, start using your types and taking your strong points, taking your magnificent strong types and honing them in such a way that will fortify not even you, but all those around you, because you understand yourself. And your drawbacks are your isolation. Your drawbacks are your thinking you're never good enough. Okay, that I just talked about before. Maybe you need to isolate back and you feel alone. But these will become your greatest strengths as well, these drawbacks, because your isolation will be like your fortress of solitude. And that's what it needs to be. Remember Superman from the movies? He had his fortress of solitude. He went up to the North Pole and he had all those crystals up there. And that was his recharging place for Superman. Was he an INFJ? I don't know. Maybe. But that's the fortress of solitude. You need to think of this as not just being alone and like, well, poor me, I don't have anybody in my life. No, guess what? It's going to turn into your biggest fortress. Like I said, you're going to find strength out of that. You're going to go introverted. Your mind will go places, and you will discover things in your mind that are deep, complex, and earth-shattering in ways that only you know. And it will come out in just your presence. It will start to come out in the way you handle yourself, the way you are as a man, and how you interact with people. Even your quietness, even just your quiet presence will start to stir certain people around you. You'll have an aura about you, okay? But it may take a while to evolve that, okay? But but you will evolve as a man. I think your greatest part of you will be when you do find that wisdom, when you finally are finding that honorable wisdom that you've attained, is when you will know that you've found your Sigma self. And I think that's ultimately what you're going to look for. And that but it is an evolution. I think maybe we're all born Sigmas, but we still have to evolve into them. We're not just born them, and that's what we are. It is our life lessons. It is the struggles. It is our heartaches. It's our sufferings of our soul. It's our emptiness and our loneliness that we overcome, that strengthen us, that sharpen us, that make us more resilient to who we are. And that's where our true Sigma man will come out. That's when it comes out. And once you find that, though, if you find that at a young age, if you find that Sigma, trust me, then you'll be much better off, because you'll be so whole inside with yourself. Really. Gosh, I just rambled on for 15 minutes here and just talked in this video. Now, people, I'm a little bit out of sorts here today. I'm recovering from a procedure in a hospital. I'm a little, so my weekend got a little bit messed up. So this video is going to be late being uploaded, but please forgive me. I don't want to lose you as an audience. I see some of your support coming in, and I want to continue with that. I want the support to continue. But men, Sigma men out there, or INFJ men and women, this is for all of you. Please support me. All I can do is say I'm new at this. I am still very new at this whole concept, but I want to fine tune it, and eventually I'd like to learn more analytics on the YouTube side and start to earn, understanding how to edit videos better and putting them together more, better than just me talking all the time. But please support me. Give me thumbs up. Give me some comments. Just give me some encouragement. Encouragement that you like this. Okay, and I want to make them better. Okay, so anyway, people, thank you so much for hanging around. If you hung around to the end of this, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. And I'm gonna make more of these for you. Okay, thank you again.